What's going on, guys? It's El Tiburon, aka Retro Tiburon, here with a few pickups and an unboxing of the Mega SG. I'm gonna start off with some DVD pickups, but first, swig of beer for the working man. All right, tastes all right. First pickup, Universal Soldier on DVD. I don't remember where I picked this one up, but I picked it up because a couple of my buddies, PWM and Tylord, constantly talking about cyborg movies and action movies from the 90s. And this is one they bring up a lot, like the franchise in general, Universal Soldier. And as always, I've never seen a Universal Soldier movie, so I thought I'd check it out. So yeah, I think I might have got this at the flea market for like $1 or something. So, I thought I'd pop my Universal Soldier cherry and check this one out. Go to the next one. Next DVD pickup, The Mothman Prophecies. Did I say that right? Yeah, The Mothman Prophecies, starring Richard Gere. This one's kind of always kind of intrigued me. I didn't know much about the Mothman. It's kind of like the Bigfoot, Loch Ness. Where does this take place at? It's in West Virginia. Is that where the Mothman is supposed to be from? But it seems like it's a kind of tied to the actual tale of the Mothman. So, I thought I'd check it out. I like some of Richard Gere's movies, so, I've always wanted to check it out, and I think I found this one also for like $1 at the swap meet, so what the hell. Check it out on DVD. Another swig of beer. Just firing through these. Next one. This is actually a Blu-ray. Return to Nukem High. I've actually, again, I don't think I've ever seen a Return to Nukem High movie. I believe this is probably the sequel to Nukem High. I have it on VHS just because the cover looked cool. The title of the movie sounds cool. And I know that it's Trauma. It's Trauma, right? Yeah, it's Trauma. So I know these movies are super over the top. So have that on VHS. I saw this one. A guy on Instagram, I think it's Retro VHS World. He does claim sales on there, mostly for VHS tapes, but he put this one on there, and I think he put it on there for like $8 shipped. So I had to snag it. I also am a big fan of like Blu-rays that are green, where the case is green colored. So I think the only other one is actually that I own is actually another Trauma movie. It's the Toxic Avenger. Yeah, the Toxic Avenger. So thought this would be a cool pickup. Next, some VHS tapes. First one I picked up, Over the Top. I think a couple weeks ago I talked about Paradise Alley with Stallone and Terry Funk's in there. Pro wrestler Terry Funk's in there as like the main, kind of like the main bad guy of the movie. And in this one, Terry Funk's also in it with Stallone. I think he has a very small part, but and actually I don't think I've seen this movie since I was a kid, but I remember, man, I used to love this movie as a kid. I used to get so pumped up, and when he would do the little like, would he do that before the arm wrestling, or should I just leave my hat like this and look like a dork? Yeah, like during the I don't know if it was like something he would do like while he was arm wrestling or if he would do it before, but I remember that was like his signature. He would turn his cap back and then he would do like that little slow grip, and that was kind of signaling. I guess that was almost like his finishing move in the arm wrestling match. So yeah, I'm trying to cut back on collecting a lot of like VHS tapes just because I have limited room. I only really have like a shelf for VHS tapes, so They take up a lot more room than a DVD or Blu-ray. So I'm trying to cut back, but I don't know. This cover, pretty epic, and I used to love this movie as a kid. So another reason I really liked it is that it, it says, it has over the top up here, but it also says Rocky, Rambo, Cobra, and now Hawk in the biggest fight of his life. I just like that they mentioned Cobra because I feel like Cobra, it's kind of like not really mentioned when people talk about Stallone movies. So I think when I saw that, I was like, I might as well keep it. There's a mention of Cobra. I'm a big fan of Cobra. All right, next one. This one, I think, Jason Goes to Hell on VHS. I know that I actually already own it, but I recently moved, so I have a bunch of totes. I don't know where it is in those totes, and for the $15 I got it for, I think I got it also. I think it might have been Retro VHS World on Instagram. For the $15, I'm like, I'd rather just pay the $15 and buy another copy than go through like 10 totes of crap trying to look for it. I have all the other ones, all the other Friday the 13th over there, but the Jason Goes to Hell is in there. I don't know where it is. So, underrated Friday the 13th movie. I know PWM, not a big fan of this one over at the DVDs Nuts and Popcorn YouTube channel, but underrated, man. It's a great movie. Take another swig of beer. By the way, how cool do I look with my cap backwards? Leave a comment below. From a scale from 1 to 10. Last VHS pickup. Bash at the Beach. 1996 to be specific. I don't have any WCW VHS tapes, mainly because I didn't collect them or I didn't rent them growing up, so I don't really have like a kind of like like a nostalgic tie to VHS tapes from WCW. But this one popped up, I think, also on Instagram from, I don't know, one of the guys that sells VHS tapes. And I wanted this one because this has the Hulk Hogan heel turn. And, obviously I'm a big Hulkamaniac. If you've seen some of the other pickup videos, I have a lot of, I just love Hulk Hogan. If you look right there behind me, above this shelf, because it's like a bunch of wrestlers, but above that one, I kind of have like a little shrine to the Hulkster. So I remember when Hulk Hogan turned heel, I think 1996. I was 14. So for me, that was like mind blowing when Hulk Hogan turned bad. And if I remember correctly, I remember my friend Billy calling me. This was back before you could, see something on Twitter or see something on Instagram. He called me and told me like, hey, did you hear what happened? And I was like, no, what? And, Hulk Hogan's a bad guy now. And I was like, what? Because all I knew from Hulk Hogan was he was our role model. He was our Superman. He was our, just every cliche. He was like our hero. So when he turned a new leaf and became like that heel Hulk Hogan, Hollywood Hogan, it was I think it hit at the right age for me because I was 14. Teenager. When you're a teenager, you don't want to abide by the rules. You think you're too cool. You kind of get a little more edgy. So when Hulk Hogan turned bad, I was like all in, like, oh shit, like Hulk Hogan, Hollywood Hogan. I love Hulk Hogan, and now he's cool again. Because to be honest, the red and yellow Hulk Hogan and WCW, even for me as a Hulkamaniac, it was pretty cringy, pretty cringeworthy. So that heel turn hit at the right time for me. So yeah, I thought I would own part of wrestling history. When Hulk Hogan turned evil. And let's see what the rest of the card is. Let's check it out. So we have a Lord of the Ring match. Hacksaw Jim Duggan versus Diamond Dallas Page. I'm sure that was a doozy. And I think the Lord of the Ring was when they would have that. Was it the Battle Bowl, I think? Was it the Battle Bowl? Was that a Super Brawl? I don't remember what pay-per-view, but they would have the Battle Bowl and they would like wrestle in a Battle Royal or tag team tournament. I don't know, it was like weird. And then somebody would win like a Battle Bowl, like a Super Bowl ring. So I guess they were fighting for that. We had a Cruiserweight title match. Disco Inferno versus Dean Malenko. You know what? I think Disco Inferno is kind of underrated as a wrestler. I know a lot of diehard wrestling fans see Disco as like this kind of like this joke wrestler that would just had like this really hokey character. But I remember watching like Disco have matches with like Dean Malenko and Perry Saturn, and I thought he was actually pretty good, pretty underrated. Next we have a 4-man dog collar match. Public Enemy versus the Nasty Boys, one of those JR slobber knockers. Grudge match. Grudge tag team match. The Giant and the Taskmaster versus Arn Anderson and Chris Benoit. I don't think I remember that match. And then we have a U.S. title match. Conan versus Ric Flair. I think I remember that match. It was kind of like a clash of styles because Conan was he was a luchador, so it was kind of like they didn't really like blend well. It was kind of like oil and water. And then we have, the reason I bought this tape, the 6-man hostile takeover, Macho Man, Sting, and Lex Luger versus Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and a surprise appearance by Hulk Hogan. So if you had never seen this pay-per-view, they're kind of giving the spoiler away. But yeah, man, just thought it would be really cool to own this tape. Very, very nostalgic for me. And it's kind of weird that they didn't even have Hulk Hogan on the cover. It was kind of, when you think Bash at the Beach '96, you think Hulk Hogan turning bad, but I don't know. Guess they decided not to put him on there. All right, last is unboxing Mega SG. Another swig of beer. Swig of beer for Thanksgiving coming up. All right. So this is the Mega SG from the company Analogue. What it is, it's basically a Sega Genesis that's meant to be played on your flat screen TVs, the modern TVs. So it's an HDMI Sega Genesis pretty much. I've actually, I think, had this for a couple of years just in storage. Just because I haven't really had space to really put it in my console kind of like little, where I hook up my systems. I didn't really have space. So, thought I need to unbox it. Like maybe, doing it on YouTube would motivate me to actually open it and actually set it up and actually play it. Because for now, I think I've mainly been playing like the Sega games on the RetroPie. So, motivation to check this out. Let's see what it comes with. I don't even know what it comes with. But like I said, I got this maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. It was a pre-order thing. I don't even know if it's available anymore. And for me, so I have a podcast, audio podcast, the Retro Wave. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Check it out. Pretty much on every podcast app. And I had a buddy on recently, Zombie 13. And we were talking about like, unless you had money, unless you had baller parents, back in the 90s, you typically only had either the Sega Genesis or you had the Super Nintendo. And for me, I happen to have the Sega Genesis. I was a Sega kid. So, Yeah, I'm obviously a lot more nostalgic for the Sega Genesis. I actually have one. See my big head right there? There's one right behind me with the Sega CD attachment. Didn't have a Sega CD back in the day because they were really expensive. But you know, I thought I needed to have the HD Sega Genesis Analog SG, and I think you could get it in different colors, but I just decided to go with the black. Very standard looking. So yeah, it has a HDMI port, and actually has some weight to it. It doesn't feel like those what do they call them? Like those flashback systems that you would get at Walmart or Target for like 10 or 15 bucks. This has some weight to it. Let's see what else. Let's see what else this comes with. I don't remember this. I think it comes with like an adapter. I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is to play what's the console before the Sega Genesis? Not the Mega Drive. I'm drawing a blank, but whatever the system before the Master System. So I think this is an attachment to put on the console so you can play Master System games. And this looks kind of like a mouse pad, but it's actually from a spacer for the Sega CD. So another cool thing is that to this system you can actually attach the Sega CD. Yeah, see, it has an attachment right here on the side. You can actually attach the Sega CD to it. Might be a little hard for me just because I don't have a lot of space left where my systems are. So I don't know if I'm going to attach it. I'd like to, because then I'd be able to play Rage in the Cage and all two of my Sega CD games, Rage in the Cage and Heart of the Alien on HD. But I don't know. I have to see if I'm able to make space. Little booklet. Yeah, I think that's all it comes with. HDMI. Power cable. And that's it. That's all you get. And it kind of sucks how you don't even get any controllers. But that's all you get. Yeah. Cool thing is I have noticed that it actually has the ports of the controllers for the old school Sega Genesis, so you can just plug in your 6 button or 3 button. I don't know who the hell ever would want to play with the 3 button controller. Not me. But I guess you can play with the 3 button one too. But what I did when I bought this system a couple of years ago, I bought these controllers. 8-bit do or 8-bit do. I don't know how you're supposed to say that. But they are wireless. I think they're Bluetooth. Oh no, these have a receiver, and it's like a 2.4 gigabyte receiver. So you plug them into the receiver to the front of the Genesis, and you can play your Sega Genesis games with a 6-button controller. More modern one. I mean, it's not an official Sega one, but 8-bit do, 8-bit do, whatever they're called, they have really good controllers. So that I would get these, and I know that they would be quality. Alright guys, well that's it. Another swig of beer before I leave. Thanks for watching. I don't know if I'll see you guys next week. It's Thanksgiving. If I have anything to show, maybe. But until then, happy Thanksgiving. Take care, everyone.